So why is credit important? And how are you supposed to build credit if you need credit history to qualify to have a credit card? It's kind of a tough scenario when you're young. So that's what we're going to go over today. It's going to be really important if you don't have credit and you're trying to build it for the first time, or even if you're a parent like me. I have to worry about this with my kids now. How do I put them in a position to where they can succeed and have credit? So if you're a parent, I think this is going to be really important for you as well. But before we go into it, normally we ask, and I'll give a small ask now, if you could like and subscribe to the channel. But for today, this is going to be my ask. I think credit is something that a lot of people struggle with, and it's on both sides. How do you get credit for the first time? And then how do you maintain credit so that you don't have a bad credit score or struggle with debt? If you know somebody who is struggling with credit, my ask today is that you send this link to them. I think there's going to be a lot of value in what we're about to cover that I think could help a lot of people. So that's my ask for today. And now we'll get into why credit's important and how you can build it as a young adult. So first, why is credit important? I think we know the obvious, that credit's important if you want to get a home or if you want a loan for your car. But there's a lot of other areas that credit pertains to. One thing is for insurance. When companies are giving you quotes, they're running your credit, and that credit bases what premium they give you. For renting, even if you're not buying, if you're a renter, landlords run your credit. And a credit score it's a good, call it report card or indicator for a landlord to base if you're gonna pay your rent or not. So having good credit is good for renting an apartment or a home. Something like utilities, you need credit to even open utilities, water, electric, gas, etc. So credit is important there. Also, if you want to start a business and you don't have the capital to fund it yourself and you want to take out a business loan, you need credit for it. So ultimately, credit has become a very important part of our financial lives. So having good credit will open the door in a lot of avenues that, quite frankly, are going to be involved in your life, whether you like it or not. So how do you initially build credit when you have to have credit to get a credit card? And I remember being so frustrated by this when I was younger. I just graduated high school. I wanted to buy a car, and I didn't have enough money to buy it. And so I wanted to finance it. I couldn't get a loan. It was so frustrating. Then there was a moment where I wanted to get an apartment with my friend Justin. And we go through the whole process of filing the application. They run our credit. We don't have any. We couldn't get the apartment. And so I remember going to the bank and just asking, like, hey, I have no credit. How am I supposed to start this process? And the only thing I remember was them saying, it was a girl, well, the good thing is no credit is better than bad credit. And I was like, okay, well, great. How do I start? And they didn't really give me an answer. And so it ended up working out for a blessing in a couple ways. One, I didn't buy the more expensive car. I had to buy something in cash. So I bought a 95 Acura Integra. So no car payment. And I think that ended up being a blessing. The only bills I had at this time were a cell phone bill, insurance, and then whatever I needed for food. It was basically nothing. So I was stacking cash like crazy. 2 years go by, and I end up buying my first house. This is in 2005. I have zero credit. So I can't rent an apartment. I can't buy a house, buy a car, but I can finance a $500,000 loan for a home with zero credit. So that shouldn't have happened. It's what put us into the financial crash that happened, 2 years later. But ultimately, I remember getting my house going, this is so ridiculous. And then all of a sudden, credit card companies started sending me applications in the mail. And then I got my first credit card. And there was a moment where I owned my own home. The house was $500,000. And my one credit card I had a $500 a month limit. It was I remember thinking, this is so backwards. So is that the way you should get credit? Absolutely not. It's kind of the path I ended up going down because I didn't have credit when I was young. And so now being a parent, this is ultimately how I am going to help my kids build credit so that they're not in the same position I was in when I was 18. So this is for, I guess, somebody who's under 18 or the parent. This is one thing you could do that I think is really powerful. The primary, or let's say myself as this example, I can allow one of my kids to be an authorized user on my existing credit card account. So if you're 16, ask your parents if they'll do this for you. If you're a parent, this is something you could do for your kids. So you can make them an authorized user on your credit card. You don't even need to give them a card. And two things will happen. They're not going to get the credit power that a primary owner would have, but it is going to actually start to build their credit, and they'll have credit history as well. So, gosh, if they're 15, make them an authorized user. Don't even give them a credit card, and let them piggyback off of your history. And then as they start getting a little bit older, you can start working with them on the education process. Maybe you do open a card for them and show them how to successfully manage their credit card so that once they turn 18, they have a credit history and they know how to use it successfully. There's caution here though, because they are not responsible for any debt. That's the reason why credit card companies will allow them to be an authorized user, because you as the primary responsible. So don't just give a kid a credit card because you're going to cover the balance. There is going to be an education process in this as well, but this is a phenomenal way to at least build some type of credit before they're 18. So if you are 18 or you're above 18 and you have no credit, the best thing you could do is apply for a secured credit card. And a secured credit card means that you have to have a deposit down, or you're going to have to put money down, and the amount that you get to spend is based off the deposit you have. So if you put a $500 deposit in, then you can spend up to $500. Except it works like a credit card, not a debit card, meaning you're going to make purchases and then you're going to get a monthly payment at the end of the month that you're going to need to pay. If for some reason you don't pay, they're going to take your money. So you want to pay it. For a secured credit card, when you're looking, you could go to a local bank. You can go online and start looking for different secured credit card accounts or credit cards. Make sure that they don't pay or charge you a yearly fee. For a secured credit card, you don't want to do that. There's plenty out there that don't charge it. So make sure no fee, and that's going to be a great way for you to start building until companies start sending offers in the mail for an unsecured credit card. So once that happens, let's say it's 7 months, a year, and you start getting those applications, apply for one of them, don't apply for a ton, and if you get accepted, then you're going to cancel the secured credit card and move over into unsecured. So this is the part that is really important. Yeah, opening credit for the first time is maybe a challenge, but using a credit card responsibly is actually the hardest part and the most important part as well. Like, we want good credit, but you don't want to go into consumer debt because you're so focused on building good credit. And what I mean by that, with a credit card, do not use a credit card as a layaway program to buy something. Don't use it as a loan to purchase something you can't afford. A credit card works well when you have the money to buy something. You're going to use credit so that you can earn points or build credit or whatever it is, but ultimately you're going to pay off your credit card debt every single month in total, every month. Don't ever just pay a little bit of it, pay the whole thing. The challenge lies kind of with our behavioral side. Like, it's really easy for us to convince ourselves ultimately that we have to have something, and that, it's a necessity. We just don't have the money to do it, but we have to have this. That's not very true most of the time. Most of the time we want it. We just convince ourselves that it's a necessity. So as far as credit goes, only buy something you can afford. There's actually 5 components that go into building a good credit score. We actually made a video on that. We'll include it in our comments, the link to it, which will go over how you create a good credit score. But at the end of the day, this is the major principle, and you will succeed if you just follow this one rule. Pay off your monthly bill every single month, and you'll be successful at it. So that still holds true here. If you have any other questions when it comes to building credit, either leave a link in the comment or you can DM me personally. This is something that actually a lot of people are challenged by. Debt is something that it's really easy to fall in that trap. And how compound interest works, which is incredible when you're trying to make money, but when you're falling in debt, it just keeps pushing you further and further down. It's why the quote, the borrower is enslaved to the lender, or people say debt is bondage. It is so true. So you don't want to fall into that trap because it can really easily feel like there is no way out. So if you're in that scenario, feel free to reach out to us and we will give you as much information we can to help you through that. And other than that, I hope this helped for you guys to go out and build credit, and we will see you guys on the next video.